Hello, welcome to Cinema Savvy. We are here today to give our review, or my review, should I say. Tayte's going to be asking me questions on Halloween Kills, which is the 2021 sequel to 2018's Halloween, directed by David Gordon Green, and obviously sees the return of Jamie Lee Curtis reprising her role once again as Laurie Strode, as this franchise just shambles on like Michael Myers himself. This is going to be, I'm going to try and keep it spoiler free at the beginning, but I need to stray into spoilers to talk about this film, guys. So just warning you out there. So if you haven't seen Halloween Kills, I'm going to keep it vague at the beginning, but definitely go and watch it first and then come back for the full rundown of this movie. And it's definitely one that deserves a full rundown, I think. But before we get into it, over to Tayte with the socials.
Yes, so we've got loads of videos coming up. We'll be kind of announcing some of the ones which we're going to be doing coming up soon towards the end of the video. But if you want to keep track of when our videos are going to be coming out and all other things that we put on our social media, you should go and follow us on Facebook. That is Cinema Savvy. You should go and follow us on Twitter. That is Cinema_Savvy. You should go and follow us on Letterboxd as well. And go into the TeePublic link in the description to pick up these incredibly comfy jumpers. Because they are really, really comfy. And also with this video, just comment below with your thoughts on Halloween Kills. Like, comment, share, and subscribe as normal. We've had loads of support recently from you guys. We just want to say thank you again for all the support across all of our videos, because we're doing so well at the moment. That's all down to you guys who are watching our vids. Now, I feel like a good kind of start-off point is by me saying that I have seen the first Halloween film, and that's about it. And by the first Halloween film, I mean the really, really way back when first Halloween film. I haven't seen the remakes. I have no idea whether they're received well or not received well. So this is all going to be quite fresh for me. If I remember correctly, you weren't too keen on the previous one. So that's interesting going forwards. I think it was maybe like a middling kind of... Or did you like it?
I love 2018's Halloween.
Okay,
I
good.
absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
All other reviewers thought it was a very middle of the road. Okay, got it.
I don't actually know if we have a review on 2018's one.
I can't remember. I've seen a review somewhere. I don't know if it was our review or whether it was someone else's, but it was kind of middle of the road. Oh, it's an okay for a reboot and stuff like that. But I've seen the trailer for this film. That's all I've seen of it. I don't really have any plans of kind of watching and getting interested into this franchise and stuff like that, because I feel like any film that has a reboot where they literally named it exactly the same as what it was previously, I'm not the biggest fan of.
Dude, that's everything now.
I know
everything is doing that. Video games are doing that now. Everything does that now. It's like a new trend, and I hate it. I don't like that trend.
Absolutely
this is
hate it.
I think let me just get the exact number here. So Halloween Kills, obviously the film that we're talking about today, is the 12th entry in the Halloween franchise. And quite interestingly, the previous one, Halloween 2018, which I have to refer to it, based on the fact that they decided to call it Halloween, is the third film in the franchise to just be called Halloween.
Ridiculous.
You had obviously the original 1978 one, you had the Rob Zombie remake, and then you had the 2018 reboot of the franchise. So I guess just before going in, I'll give my preamble on the first film, in case we do or do not have a review on that film. I can't remember if we do or not. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Now, when that film was coming out, I didn't know at the time it was going to be the first entry in a trilogy. I don't know if that was announced before that film came out. I've done a little bit of reading on the film, and one of the writers on this film is actually Danny McBride, who you'll know from like a lot of the stoner comedy films and everything like that. Let me just get his precise list of credits up here. Yeah, Pineapple Express, stuff like that. He's in Tropic Thunder. He's in a lot of those kind of type of comedy films, really, which is always very strange when I know that his name was attached to these Halloween films. But he clearly has an affinity for them, and he clearly has a reverence for them. I think when Halloween 2018 was coming out, it was originally intended to be a two-parter. And then they clearly thought it was a success. It made a lot of money, and the studio was like, make that into a trilogy. And here we are with part two in what is now a trilogy.
So,
when I
Chris,
first went
very quickly, we have done a review of Halloween. It was us two. It was a very similar format to this. I didn't see the film, and we were just bouncing questions backwards and forth.
Which now means that we need to close the trilogy out, Tayte, next year when we get to Halloween Ends.
Do I
No,
have to watch
no,
them?
we
Okay,
don't
I
break the
just have to
tradition
be a
now.
blank slate here. Okay, good.
Reviewing horror films on this channel is so difficult because I watch horror films, guys. I do. I've seen Spiral. I do have some on the back burner still, but we there's no resident horror guy on the channel. It's
You are the
really
resident horror
difficult.
guy, Chris. What
I
do you
am
mean?
the one and only. Yeah, I know. It's very strange. But yeah, when I went into 2018's Halloween, I went into that with the idea that this was going to be like a one and done. You know, we got Jamie Lee Curtis back. You know, she's going to be pitted against Michael Myers one last time. At the end of this night, one's going to stand, one's going to fall, and Halloween is going to end with this definitive sort of take on it. And then now it's a trilogy. And what's kind of interesting, and I didn't know that this was going to be the case going into this film, it's going to be a trilogy that happens all over the course of one night. You know, so there might be, you know, a year or a couple of years in between releases and everything like that, but it all takes place over one night. And I can't think of another trilogy that's done that before. You know, you have the Beyond Ethan Hawke, what's it called? You have that trilogy.
The Before Sunrise.
But
What's
that
it
takes
called?
place
Yeah.
over decades, you know, just like a really, you know, huge expanse of time. Whereas this is all over the course of one night, cinematic trilogy. Haven't seen that before, so I guess that's kind of interesting. Whether you think it works or not,
It's cool.
that's a different matter.
That's cool structure for a film, I guess.
But I'm gonna spoil the ending of 2018 right now, Halloween 2018. So this film is a direct sequel, picks up immediately where the previous film ended off.
Is that a spoiler? Because I saw that in the trailer.
Oh, well, I mean, the trailer that you saw, Tate, basically spoiled the entire movie. It was the whole film truncated into
That was
about 2
Are you ready
minutes.
for this, Chris? That was official trailer 1.
I know, and you know, I'm sure a lot of people saw that trailer and was like, "Well, I don't need to see the film now." But 2018 ended in this really good sort of like final showdown, really good suspense-filled, sort of like moving from room to room, stalker kind of feel to it, of you know, Laurie facing down against Michael Myers, finally trapping him in this sort of room that she'd made, this sort of like separate part of the house. She'd been preparing for decades for his return, and she locked him in there, and the bars closed, and she set it on fire, and she watched him burn. And you literally, it ends with him looking up at her looking down at him as the flames engulf him. And it's like, there's no way he's going to make it out of this, right? And now we get on to Halloween Kills, where he finds a way out of that room pretty much early on. Like, just there's like a metal blast door that's just in the room. Why would she build that? Like, if it's the intention to trap someone down there, why have that? I don't know. Anyway, and he gets out, and of course, Michael Myers is back, and he's here to wreak havoc and continue his killing spree in Haddonfield. So I'm going to pass over to you for questions now, but that's kind of setting the stage for this movie and where we find it.
Well, that kind of covers my, it's a sequel, kind of what's going to happen and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, I mean, this isn't really a spoiler, but you've already said kind of it's a trilogy that's going to be set over 3 nights. And the final film's going to be called Halloween.
Set over one night.
Yeah. Final film's called Halloween Ends. I don't think that's a good name for a film, but whatever.
It probably is going to have a question mark at the end of it as well, because there's no way that they're going to end the Halloween franchise.
The end? Question mark? So characters from this kind of series and stuff like that. Obviously, you've got Jamie Lee Curtis, who is probably the, if not for the shape, Michael Myers, is like the face of the franchise. So a good acting performance again from her kind of second return to this character, or
she is top billed in this film, and she is maybe in 3 scenes and is completely sidelined in this film. And you know, that's kind of the pitfalls of having a trilogy set over the course of one night. You know, she was injured at the end of the previous movie. She's going to be recovering. She's going to be in hospital during this movie. So, you know, she gets like
she's gonna be in hospital in the next movie as well.
No, she'll get it. She jabs herself with some, like, this is where we're getting into spoilers elements, but if you don't care, whatever. She jabs herself with some like morphine or some like pain number, and she's good.
Fixes everything.
She's fine. This is fine. But you know, I bet she got paid millions for this film.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she's fine. It's a very cheesy, very hammy script. It's not a good script to this one, I will say.
So my next question is, who is the main character then? Who is the person who we follow in the story?
Oh, it's kind of from a bunch of different perspectives, really. I would probably say the main character
Or characters, because you can have multiple. But
I'd say the main character on the whole is kind of tied between Judy Greer, Judy Greer's character who plays the daughter of Laurie, and Alice, the character of Alison, who is Laurie's granddaughter, and it's kind of those two are sort of at the forefront. Alongside that plot line, you also have the residents of Haddonfield, led by the character of Tommy Doyle, played by Anthony Michael Hall, who's sort of corralling all the residents of Haddonfield, this kind of mob rule, mob mentality thing that evil dies tonight, as they keep chanting in the film, that, they're going to take law into their own hands. The police have, proved themselves useless pretty much for all these decades and haven't stopped Michael Myers. So they're going to take it upon themselves to go out on their own in force to put an end to Michael Myers once and for all, which is, a novel plan in and of itself.
Terrible plan. He's just going to carve through all of them, isn't he?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Tate, because let's play a little game here. So there's a great line from Tommy's character in this, by the way. And there's actually some really cool flashbacks to the 1978 film as well, where if they don't show footage directly from that film, they've gone in and they've expanded on it and explained some certain things. Because one of the things that was kind of a continuity error between the original Halloween and Halloween 2018, I should say as well, for anyone who doesn't know, this new continuity completely erases the original Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, all of the sequels. The one that it's basing itself off and continuing from is the 1978 one. So there's no revelation in this that Michael Myers is Laurie's brother, which was the revelation at the end of Halloween 2, that they were related. This is kind of doing its own thing, and it's new sort of, it's like a variant, if you will, if you're going to compare it to the Marvel film. It's a new timeline, essentially. And at the end of Halloween 1, I think she shoots him off the balcony, and then she checks at the end to see if the body's there, and his body's disappeared and he's gone. And then Halloween 2018 picked up where the police had arrested him and he was in a mental institute. And I thought he got away at the end of Halloween. So how was he kidnapped? You actually see that at the beginning of this film. They show right after the events of the 1978 film, he's in the same neighborhood and the police managed to corner him and apprehend him. And that's where we find him at the beginning of Halloween 2018. So I like that they filled that in. And some of the flashbacks are good. They recast a lot of the characters, kind of like the Doctor Sleep thing in the sequel to The Shining, where you'll have the character of, Jack Torrance in the film, and there's a guy who kind of looks like Jack Nicholson, but it's not him. And I always appreciate when they do that. I like when they can actually either digitally recreate someone, so you do have more of that continuity, but they've matched it well. Like if you haven't seen the 1978 film in a long time, or you've got side-by-side photos of the actors between the two, you know exactly which character it's meant to be, who's portraying who, which I thought was fine. So there's some cool setup there, but okay, the townsfolk, because this is the biggest aspect of this film, is this whole like mob rule thing. I'd say this is like front and center in the film. So Anthony Michael Hall's character, and it's kind of a novel concept, he's like, we're going to go out in force. Like the more numbers we have, like he can't possibly stand up to all of us, which is a great concept. So I thought they're going to go out in convoy. There's going to be like 50 to 100 of them, and they're all going to go out together, driving in unison. They're all going to rock up, and there's always going to be 100 people or more at one given spot. They split up into teams of 3 or 4 and travel to secluded areas. In one team, you have an aging psychiatrist, or psychologist, or nurse. No, I think she was a nurse, actually. An aging nurse who was in the original 1978 one. Obviously, she's aged up. She's like an OAP in this film, bless her. You've got a babysitter, and you've got 2 random residents.
Oh, great.
And guess what happens, Tate?
They all get brutally murdered.
They all die. they all fucking die. So there's a lot of that going on in the film. There's a lot of stupidity. And, if you love that stuff, if you love horror movies like that, where you do have that added element of silliness in there. And I think that's probably testament to the writers as well. As I mentioned, you've got Danny McBride on the writing team for this film, and David Gordon Green as well, who directed Pineapple Express and a lot of those kind of stoner comedy films. And the first one did have elements of that as well, the 2018 one. But this one, it felt like it almost felt like a spoof in some bits. In all honesty, there's some very strange side characters. This gay couple in the film called Big John and Little John, and they're like smoking pot and they're getting high, and you can definitely see that's the Danny McBride influence in the writing, because we've always got to have a stoner in the film, right?
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of silliness in the film that really takes away the horror. There were no moments in the film really where I was scared, I was anxious, there was any kind of suspense created, because you know that all these people are lined up for the meat grinder, and knowing there's going to be a Halloween Ends, you know that Michael's going to make it out of it at the end, because how would you have a sequel? You know,
the paperwork, Chris. Think of the paperwork.
Exactly. And yeah, I'm going full spoilers in this, dude. Like,
yeah, okay.
I'll pass over to you again for like more questions in a second.
Big old spoiler warning coming up then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So some of the kills in this are just downright laughable. I will say, this is probably the most brutal we've ever seen Michael Myers. He gets some kill. He is just pure nastiness in this film, and that's to say, he's killed so many people. I don't know what Michael Myers' body count is as of this moment.
Is
but
it
in
more
this
or
film
less
in particular,
Voorhees? That's the question.
That's a good question. I don't know. That's a pop quiz question right there for any of you horror aficionados out there. I think it's probably Michael Myers, in all honesty. I could be wrong. So yeah, he's definitely the most brutal we've ever seen Michael Myers in this one. He is a force to be reckoned with. He is a physically imposing force. Tate's got the number, I think.
have the numbers. And number 3, we have Jigsaw with 91. Number 2, we have Michael Myers with 137. And number 1, Jason Voorhees, 157.
Oh, wow.
An average of 13 victims per film.
I don't know when this list was updated, but, Halloween's getting more films. And guess what? Friday the 13th is on hold at the moment, I think, legally.
That includes... Oh, that doesn't include the new film.
This new one will take that score, Tate. It's going to double it. It's going to double that score. And I'm going to tell you why.
Wait, how many did he kill in Halloween? Because it says 16 Halloween kills. So I'm wondering if they've been added together.
Dude, he kills over 100 in this film. Easily.
He kills over 100?
Easily. Right, I'm going to get into it now. We're getting into the meat of this now. Some on screen, some off screen. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, collect my thoughts. Here we go. I want to go back to the stupid kills at first, though, before anything. So there's a scene in this film, as I mentioned. You've got the OAP nurse from the first film. You've got the babysitter, and you've got 2 people who are out at a Halloween party and just kind of tagged along for the ride, okay? There's a scene where they're in a car, they're in like a Jeep, and Michael Myers climbs on top of the car, and they're like trying to shoot through the roof, and obviously they don't get him. And he smashes through the window. And I think someone tries to shoot at him through the driver's side window, which completely shatters the window, and the window's now open to the elements, right? She then proceeds to lock the door so that he can't get in.
But also he can't get out.
Well, yeah, that too, but I'm like, the window is broken open. If he wants to get in, he can get through the window. Just locking the door isn't going to make a damn bit of difference. So I think 2 people manage to escape, and they run away. They run away from the car. I thought they kind of stayed near the car, because you don't see them run away. You assume they run away based on the next shot that's coming up in a second. So this dude, like one of the residents, is just in the back seat. Why he can't escape the car, I don't know. He's just there. Old nurse is in the front driver's side, and she gets a gun, and she kind of delivers like a Dirty Harry monologue. She's like, I don't know, terrorize this or something. I don't know what she says. She says she says a line.
Yeah.
And she's out of bullets. So Michael Myers, proceeds to murder the shit out of her by like stabbing her in the neck or something.
Cool.
Stabs the guy in the back seat through the eye, kills him too. Then the 2 people that escaped the car in the next shot are running back to the car, like they were running from a different location to the car when they were just inside the car. It's some of the editing in this film is very strange. There's no sense of geography, and that's going to be especially true for the ending of this film. So the wife of the one who got stabbed in the back seat, she pulls a gun on Michael Myers. He's inside the car where he like killed the nurse, right? So he's got his back to her. She points a gun at him. He smacks the car door back in her face, which clips the gun and makes her shoot herself. So she's dead.
That sounds comical.
That got the biggest laugh out of a lot of people. Laughed in the cinema at that. It's just, we're in this kind of territory, Tayte. This is the kind of stuff that happens in this film. And the big one for me is just, you know, throughout the Halloween films, Michael Myers has gone through so many different iterations. It's like, is he a man? Is he some kind of shambolic zombie? Is he just like this force of evilness entrapped in a human body, essentially? Can he be killed? Is he immortal? Is he dead? Is he alive? And so many different, you know, versions of the Halloween films have played with that some more. You've got the original film where it's more that he's just a guy, you know, just an insane guy that goes on a killing spree. And then as the sequels go on, you know, he's teleporting, he's doing more of this supernatural stuff, and they kind of play with that some more. But from Halloween 2018, it seemed like they went back to their roots. You know, he's this old guy, but he's this very physically strong, like he can grab you by the throat and lift you off the floor kind of strength kind of guy. And I like that. I like when he is just a man. He's an unstoppable, he's a ruthless, he's a relentless man, and he's always going to keep trying to track you down, but he's nonetheless a human. Because if you start straying into the supernatural territory, then it's like, well, what does that make him? And then there's loads of questions that you have to ask, and origins, and why is he this sort of like evil force, this demonic force that can't be killed? This film just makes him a straight up superhero. The injuries that he is inflicted in this and goes through and still keeps going, he has to be a zombie. He has to be inhuman. And, you know, they keep referring to him that he's like, oh, he's not human. He's a monster. He's this and that. But that's more so from his psyche, that there's just an emptiness there, that he is just going to murder the shit out of you with no remorse, and there's no empathy there or anything like that. There is no human quality to him. Yeah. But, okay, so...
It sounds like just from kind of listening to kind of stuff from the film, it does sound like the writers don't even know themselves.
And there's definitely more of a stretch in this one compared to the previous one that came out in 2018.
Or maybe they haven't come up with a solution yet, and they're going to decide on it when it comes to the final part, and maybe they'll explain a little bit more. Because if they haven't gone into his origins yet, and they've got 3 films kind of spanning. I know they had the first film. They haven't actually explained what he does yet. Expect a lot of exposition in that final film. That's all I'm saying.
I kind of don't want them to, and that was kind of what the Rob Zombie films did differently with their film. In that, you know, the original Halloween, there is no explanation. It's just he was a 6-year-old kid that murdered his sister, was put straight in a mental asylum, escapes, and he just goes on a killing spree. That's it. There is, and it's like the Joker in The Dark Knight. There's a scary quality to not knowing everything about that guy, and there's a mystery there. Then as the films went on, they went out of their way to explain his origin, and, you know, he's the brother of Laurie Strode, or the half-brother or something, or is related to her in some way. And then the Rob Zombie films came out, and they did a whole origin story where he was basically like a product of like a white trash family and an abusive childhood and everything, which turned him into the monster that he is. And I feel like that takes away a lot of the enigma and the mystery of the character. So I'm quite happy with them not going too into his origin. But the stuff that transpires in this film, I genuinely don't know if you are going to be able to kill him. If Halloween is going to end, the stuff that happens in this film, he's a zombie. He is unkillable. He is immortal, as far as I'm concerned. And that's right from one of the opening scenes with him in this film when he escapes the burning building. You know, there's scenes of Laurie being put into the hospital, because obviously she was in the house as well when it was on fire. And it's that scene from Rush where they like shove a tube down your throat to get all of the tar out, and the, you know, the bad stuff, like the black liquids coming up from the lungs. Michael Myers clearly doesn't need that. And again, if he is a guy, and he's an old guy as well, you know, he's in his late 60s as a dude, he is going through these things. You know, he's not burnt, he's not in pain, he just continues on. So he gets out of the house, he kills the 2 fire department people that go into the building. Firefighters, that's the word I'm looking for. Jesus Christ. He kills the 2 firefighters that go in, and he walks out onto the porch, which is that shot right there. And he's brandishing like a pickaxe, and all the fire department are in front of him. And they've got their axes. One's got a buzzsaw, and they're all gearing up to kick his ass. And, you know, like Mike Myers is like cracking his neck, like, okay, guys, let's do this. And they all proceed to attack him.
One by one.
One at a time.
Yep, that's the one.
And guess what,
Tried
Tayte?
and tested, Chris. It's tried and tested.
Guess what, Tayte?
They all died.
He kills the shit out of all of them. Hey, if I'm coming at you with an axe, right? You're going to block me, right? What if you've got like 10 guys coming from behind you and then like another 4 from that side and another 6 from that side? You can't block them all. You can't take them all on. And if all of them are attacking simultaneously, you're going down, my friend.
No chance.
But no, they all just stand back. Wait, I'm going to attack dead. It's like Final Fantasy. It's like turn-based combat or something.
So would you say that's obviously down to the writing? Was there any kind of comments in the direction? Because I'll be honest, just looking from that kind of thumbnail picture, that's a pretty cool, badass picture.
It's a cool scene. It's a cool moment. Yeah, just seeing Michael Myers.
What's kind of the rest of the direction and cinematography like for the film? Is it as good as that, or is it kind of it dips and kind of?
Yeah, it's kind of drips and drabs. I don't think it's as striking as the first film. I'd say it's more the same, in all honesty, but I think it's just that there's no... You look at the 1978 film, and whether you like the original Halloween or not, John Carpenter's direction is flawless in that first Halloween film. There is a genuine sense of suspense that Michael Myers could be around any corner, and you don't really get that in this one. There's a lot of sort of busy shots of crowded hospitals and sort of like mob rule and, combing through a hospital and everything. So I don't know. There wasn't sort of any striking imagery in this one so much. I mean, this shot was great. Seeing Michael Myers in any kind of situation like that was great. And there's a few moments towards the end, but nothing to sort of write home about in terms of cinematography or anything like that. So the film proceeds on. And, as I mentioned, you have this mob rule. So they all they lock down the hospital and they're saying that Michael Myers is going to come here because Laurie is in the hospital. He's going to come for her. She's the one he wants. He will make his way here. So we need to gather our forces and prepare for him here. In the first movie, I think there was a mental institute bus that was transporting sort of mental patients to like a mental institute, crashed. I think Michael Myers caused it, I think, if I remember rightly. It's been a while since I've seen that first film. So 2 of the convicts or whatever it is have escaped. And one of them runs to the hospital. It's like a Frankenstein moment, kind of. And he runs to the hospital because he just wants help. And then everyone sees this kind of weirdo mental patient in like a gown, and they just automatically go, "That's Michael Myers. Let's chase him through the hospital and kill him." With no proof. And their proof, it's like the Schrodinger's cat thing. They're saying, like, how do you know it's Michael Myers? He's wore a mask. And they're like, how do you not know it's Michael Myers? Because he wears the mask all the time. And they basically need a Michael Myers to kill and to take down. So they chase this innocent, like random, mentally impaired guy throughout the hospital, ruthlessly, violently, and they're all brandishing weapons. They're ripping doors off the hinges to try and get to him. And Judy Greer is trying to save this lowly patient kind of guy, and he ends up jumping off a fucking building and killing himself. It's like the why moment from Frankenstein. You've got the mob underneath all screaming up at him, and he just launches himself off this building. And then we get to the ending, which is where stupidity prevails. So continuing with the let's split up gang motif, because this is where it comes in clutch. You've got one of the original kids from the 1978 film. It's not the same actor, I don't think, but it's meant to be the same character. And he's with his son, and the son's girlfriend is the granddaughter of Laurie. So it's those 3 together, and they go to Michael Myers's old home, and they think he's going to be in there. And the dad's like, "I'm going to go in alone. Don't come in after me." He says, "If I'm not back in like 10 minutes, then sound the alarm." So he goes in. And very shortly, you hear like a gunshot from inside the house, and then everything goes quiet. So the kids go in, to look. So, the guy's looking for his dad. They patrol the house a little bit. He finds the dad dead, unsurprisingly.
Of course.
And then Michael Myers jumps out the shadows. And guess what, Tate? He kills the shit out of the son as well.
Excellent.
He's about to kill the granddaughter when all of a sudden, coming in clutch, Judy Greer, her mother, comes in with a pitchfork. Boom! And stabs Michael Myers in the back. Stabs him onto the floor. She then takes the pitchfork out, throws the pitchfork away, and then rushes to her daughter.
Why?
Now,
Why?
Tate,
No, hold on. You just said that they pitchforked and pinned them to the floor. He can't move if he's pinned
Didn't pin him to
the
the floor. She didn't pin him to the floor. She just stabs him in the back, and he falls down, his face down, with a pitchfork sticking out of his back. She takes the pitchfork out, throws it aside, and runs to her daughter and says, she's like, "Thank God it's all over. I've killed him." Tayte, if you were in that situation, right, and there was this horrific madman who was this unkillable madman, you burnt him down in a house and he's still alive somehow. He's killed an entire fire department. He stalks everyone. If you were in that situation and you had that pitchfork, what would you do, my friend?
Continue stabbing or run
yes,
as fast as I can.
Yes. You stab him in the fucking back of the head and you take it out, you stab it again, you twist it, and you stab it in the back, and you keep going for like 2 hours. You would find the strength, you would find the resolve in yourself to keep stabbing that motherfucker until you definitely know that he's dead. But no, he stabs him once, runs to the daughter, and then guess what, Tayte?
He gets up and he brutally murders them. Of course he
not
does.
yet. Not yet, but he does get up. She then grabs his mask and she's like, it's like a got your nose kind of thing. She grabs his mask and goes like, motherfucker, I've got your mask.
Imagine just, got your nose. Oh,
literally. It's like my one weakness.
No!
And it kind of is his weakness.
You can't take my nose. That was my one weakness.
It literally, dude. Like, this is his thing. So he instantly stops and kind of stands bolt upright and looks awkward. And it's like catnip. And she's waving the mask and she says like, "Come and get it then. Come on, you want the mask? Let's go." So he starts walking after her, and she's like running after the mask. And of course, Michael Myers, he's not going to run. He doesn't believe in cardio. He's just going to walk.
Oh yeah,
he will walk. He will find you.
Dude probably owns Skechers. That's why he's just like, nah, I'm just going to walk everywhere.
So she leads him through like a backyard. It's only like a street. It's only like a block away or something. And she leads him into the street. And she stands in the middle of the road with the mask. And he walks into the road. And then boom, headlights come on. And cars start drifting around the corner, and all the residents have got him blocked in, and they form like a circle around him with all of their headlights on him. They've got him. You've got Anthony Michael Hall's character getting out. You've got all the people in Haddonfield. They've got guns. They've got baseball bats. They've got knuckle dusters. You name it, they've got it, and they've got him surrounded. And obviously, he's got his mask off at this point. I think she's dropped it on the floor at this point. And that genuinely caught me by surprise. I thought, this is a really cool place to end it. It puts Michael in a really vulnerable position, a position that we've never seen him in before. And I was genuinely there like, I don't know how he's going to get out of this situation. So it's a really cool shot. Everyone's kind of, like the fire department earlier.
This is going.
You know where this is going. Oh, you know where this is going, my friend.
Do they attack one by one, perchance?
We're getting there, Tayte. We're getting there. I need to build up. You've gone straight to the punchline, but yes, you are correct. They attack one by one. They're all gearing up, and it's like, this ends tonight, Michael. And the Halloween theme kicks in. This badass remix. We'll talk about the music in a second. It's the one good thing in this film. Michael Myers reaches down, he picks up the mask, puts it on for like one final time to take them on, and it's epic. And they're coming in, and it's like someone roundhouse kicks him, someone right hooks him, and he's taking it. Someone shoots him 6 times in the chest. Bam, 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 empties the clip into him. And it's like blood bags going off, like boom, 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 boom. And he's taking it, and he falls to the ground, and they're stabbing him. And guess where they're not stabbing him, Tayte? They keep stabbing him. Guess they don't stab him in the head. They don't stab him in the face. They keep stabbing him in the back. So he's down on the ground, and he's reaching for the knife, and he's like shaking in one last ditch effort. Judy Greer steps on the knife, picks it up, and stab in the shoulder blades. Again, stab him in the head, people. Please.
Go for the head, for Christ's sake.
Shoot him in the head. Like, it's not a Kevlar mask. It's made of rubber. You can shoot through it. So, stab. Then, this is where it gets weird, because the editing in this whole ending sequence, there is no sense of geography at all. It kind of cuts in like a montage, and you've got Laurie Strode at the hospital giving this kind of like big bombastic ending monologue, like the more people he kills, the stronger he gets. He's relentless. He's the hero Haddonfield deserves, but not the one we need right now kind of speech from like The Dark Knight. And while this is going on, they're like montage cutting in the ending. Now, Judy Greer's character is kind of sitting on the doorstep of Michael's house, so the one that she walked from with the mask. So she's gone like a block away back to where she was, and like he's surrounded by the mob on the floor, but then he slowly gets to his feet, and it's like, why wouldn't they keep him down on the floor? Like, they've surrounded him, they've got him. There's like 50 to 100 people here, like, they're good. And then he just starts killing them one by one. He's found like his second wind, and he's just boom, slice, throat slit on that one, bang, gun on that one, stab in the face on that one. And he kills them all, Tayte. He kills the entire mob.
He kills the entire town.
He kills the entire mob that came after him, that surrounded him. All 50 to 100 people, however many it is, he kills them all. They had him surrounded. They had him beat. They had an infinite supply of artillery and weapons and manpower, and they all attack one by one, and he kills every single one of them, including Anthony Michael Hall's character. So Judy Greer is on the doorstep of the house, and she looks up at the Myers house, and she sees young Michael Myers in the window, looking out the window, because they keep saying when he was a kid, he would just look outside the window, outside at Haddonfield. He would just stand for hours just staring out at the street, really weird like. You'd put that kid up for adoption, wouldn't you? So she looks up at the window, she sees this thing in the front window, and she's like, that's strange. I've gone through enough shit tonight. You know what? I'm not going to go up there. No, Tayte. Guess what she does? She goes in.
No, it's like, oh, yeah.
She goes in on her own into the creepy Myers house, where he's just killed Big John and Little John. And she almost, and he almost killed her daughter and killed the daughter's boyfriend and the boyfriend's dad. She goes into the house. She stands in the exact room, in the exact spot, looking out the window. Michael Myers has somehow teleported from that street. He's in the house. He walks up behind her in the room, kills her. And that's where the film ends. Kills Laurie's daughter, and Laurie's still in the hospital. And that's where we end Halloween Kills. There are so many leaps of logic in this film, Tayte, that it was kind of devastating to me. And I loved the 2018 one, but this got into spoof territory with a lot of the kills. Yeah. It felt much more tongue-in-cheek this time around, which I don't feel works with it. I think just make it as terrifying as you can. But for me, if you talk about like a shark jump, jumping the shark or whatever, this film did it. If for whatever kind of intrigue or mystery they had with the Michael Myers character, and they were managed to recapture in the 2018 film, the stuff that he goes through in this film, the injuries he sustains and he keeps going on. Dude got shot 6 times in the chest. And as I say, if he's not human, why isn't he human? Why is he possessed? Is he not of this earth? Like, they need to, there's aspects there that they need to explain. And if he is a human, how can he survive all of these things? So I don't know. This film kind of killed all that tension for me, putting him in these situations where it's like they wrote themselves into a corner, but it was a great corner to write him into. And then he just gets away with it, no problem in this film. It's to the point where now with Halloween Ends, as I mentioned, how do you kill this guy, Tayte? Like, what do you think works?
The face, just take off the mask and maybe burn the mask. The mask is his power kind of thing. This
is getting to the stage where like they could behead him in the next film and he would still be alive somehow. He'd grow a new head. His headless body would walk around and still continue to stab people.
No, he just does the Green Knight thing where he just shouts 1 year hence and rides off on a horse.
Oh god. Oh god, they're gonna do it. That's gonna happen now. It's so that was Halloween Kills. I mean, I do want to talk about the music.
Talk about the music. Yeah, I was going to say talk about the music, because that seems like the only thing that you're kind of enjoying about the film in itself.
So, I mean, John Carpenter's always been like a musician as well. Like he's done the music to a lot of his own films as well. He was in a band in the 80s, I think, or even before, called the
recently collaborated with Churches. Like
yes, yeah. He's he might not be directing films anymore, but he's picking up paychecks from people that are rebooting or continue his films in some way. And he's a musician now, returning once again to do the music with this, along with his son Cody Carpenter and one of his longtime collaborators. You've got Daniel Davis on there. It's another solid score. It's that kind of synthwave kind of score that sounds so much like the original, but it's updated. It's hard hitting. The soundtrack to this film is incredible, absolutely incredible. The way that they update and reorchestrate the Halloween theme when the original themes and sound bites are kicking in, it feels earned, it feels great, but it also provides a whole host of new music as well, which is just great. And I just love synth scores as well. Do you remember It Follows, like the soundtrack to that?
Yeah, really like the soundtrack to It Follows, actually.
Like, like that really kind of synth heavy old throwback kind of music, and it's great and it works really, really well. And the end credits music as well from one of my favorite bands, a band called Ghost. The song's called Hunter's Moon. Kind of utilizes the Halloween theme in there a little bit as well, but they make it their own. I've missed horror films ending on like a sweet rock or heavy metal song. A lot of the 80s ones used to do that, and you could say that they're very cheesy, but by God, they had like a memorable soundtrack and a song that you always sort of like remember in those end credits. So that was almost like a throwback as well for me. But I've done a lot of talking on this take because I needed someone to bounce off with it. I needed to vent of how stupid this film was.
Here's the thing. I'm immediate. Well, there you go. Here's the next question because it's going to be the last one. What is your final thoughts on the film?
Final thoughts on the film. It's entertaining in a way. You know, Michael Myers, like some of the most brutal kills we've ever seen from him in this one. He is, and this film did kind of reaffirm it for me. He is a Halloween icon. He is a iconic horror mascot, and he always will be, and he has earned his place in the pantheon of horror movie characters, and it's great to see. There's moments like that where he emerges from a burning building, which is just it's great to look at, and it's a cool image, but I don't feel any of the fear that I'm meant to with the character now, and maybe that's just the natural progression of things. It's not 1978 anymore. You know, our tolerances for horror and what we can withstand in films now, and what we've seen Michael Myers in 12 films now. We know what he looks like. We know how he operates. And it's very difficult to get that sense of tension in there and horror and build up to a character that we've seen for so many films. So there is that kind of side to things. But I do think this was a step too far. And, you know, there's a bunch of sequels in the Halloween franchise that do go way off the deep end, probably even more so than this one. But this one just seemed a lot more excessive. And if it originally was going to be a two-parter, this did feel like it was dragging its heels in terms of the story. The story to this one's very weak. It's a very, very simple story. It's like 2 hours of a night, you know, if this trilogy is all over the course of one night. And it hasn't really got me amped for the next one because of just the leaps in logic in this film, the stupid kills, the stupidity of people. It's all of those classic horror movie tropes that Scream was, you know, harkening back to in the goddamn 90s. And we're still doing it in 2021. It didn't seem like it had the harder edge that the 2018 one had. That felt like it did have some silly moments and tongue-in-cheek moments, but it was a good revival of that character and did have moments of tension. And going into that film, it felt like there were stakes. This film has just blown the stakes out of the window now, because as far as I'm concerned, he's unstoppable. There is no way to kill him. He's basically killed an entire town at this point.
Yeah.
Because people attack him one by one. And the editing was really bad as well at the end. And I was overhearing a lot of people actually when this cut to credits, and a lot of people were going, not as good as the other one, and a lot of people seem really lukewarm to negative on it on the way out of the cinema. So, but I think it's doing well. It's a horror film released in October.
It's a Halloween film released around Halloween.
It's going to make money, you know. And I mean, obviously, it was meant to come out last year, delayed due to COVID. I think there is always an audience for the Halloween films. Definitely think there is, and sort of like these older horror mascots. And we're seeing another, you know, horror mascot come back next year as well with Scream. And again, a film where we're going to call it the exact same title as the original film. You know, we can't call it Scream 5. We've got to call it Scream. And we're bringing in, you know, the original cast again. It looks kind of like the same thing. It's going to revitalize it. And I want that film to be good. You know, the trailer came out. It does look more of the same, but there's a bit of intrigue there with how the killer's sort of, he's picking off people related to the people, you know, the original cast. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. But I do think that this has sort of led the charge now. I think we're going to see a lot more of these revivals along the way at some point. You know, we've had a remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which we'll probably get another one. It wouldn't surprise me, maybe. What other ones? Friday the 13th, I think, is legally on hold at the moment. I think there's some rights issues maybe at the moment. But you had the Michael Bay remake from, you know, a number of years ago now. We'll probably get another one of that. They're iconic and they're enduring, aren't they? I mean, for God's sake, this character's been going since 1978, and Halloween's meant to end next year. You know, it's coming out the October of next year. They filmed these two back to back. So we'll see you next year for the next one, but I can guarantee Halloween is never going to end.
No.
Get rebooted get revitalized again a few years down the line.
Chris, Halloween comes around every year. It's like the same date.
Does. Can you imagine?
Shock. Anyway,
I'll be there for it. Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound at this point, right?
I'm going to give you a break with the talking for a second
you.
and go through the socials. Please comment below with your thoughts on Halloween Kills. We've just heard Chris rant on about it for the last 45 minutes. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Tell others about the channel as well. We'd love to build up a community here of horror fans, non-horror fans, whatever, like any film stuff that we have been bringing out. We do have some videos that are going to be coming up. For example, this Friday, we have The Last Duel coming out. And this Saturday, we have Dune spoiler review coming out, which Chris has seen. I have not yet to see it yet. I will be watching it at some stage. I'm not sure when. And I've also seen The Last Duel as well, which I've heard is actually a box office bomb, which is very interesting.
Some unfortunate timing bringing that out around the same time as Dune, Venom, and Halloween as well. It's a very jam-packed weekend.
And we've also got Wrong Gone's Wrong that's out at the moment as well. It's a very packed kind of cinema schedule at the moment. So very interesting with that one. We also have a review for... Oh, no, that's everything because that is already happened possibly.
I believe there might still be some London Film Festival films or footage that George is working his way through. I know that you and George have been leading the charge on the London Film Festival films. Done a sterling job of it, got through a lot of movies, got some great content there. So I think there might be a little bit of that coming out as well. We've just got a lot of videos planned. And believe me when I say, guys, the months of November and especially December are going to be absolutely packed, and we've got a lot of things planned for those 2 months. Yes, stacked is the right word for it. Tayte, thank you so much for being a great sport, devoting almost an hour of your life tonight, hearing me rant about this film. I don't rant about films very often. I think the last one that I did a proper rant on might have been... Well, we did Bond, I guess. That was a 5-hour review that we did. I think before that was probably The Rise of Skywalker, where I need to talk about everything from this movie, and that was another one like this. But yep, you can find us on our socials right there. You can find us on Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook at Cinema Savvy, and of course we're on letterboxd.com as well. .com/cinemasavvy. Lots more content coming out, so check the socials there for any updates when we go live, when we have videos coming out, because as we mentioned, a lot of stuff coming to the channel. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, everyone.